March 23rd, 2011, 04:15 hours, Patrol Base Mortar Valley, deep in the Hindu Kush Mountains of eastern Afghanistan. 8 American soldiers hunker down in a cluster of mud brick walls and razor wire. They're surrounded. 200 Taliban fighters swarm the ridges above, closing in from every angle. Machine guns chatter in the dark. Bullets rip through the night air like hornets. The outpost is cut off. No air support for at least 30 minutes. Radios crackle with desperate calls, but help is miles away over impassable terrain. Outnumbered 25-1, these men face annihilation in the next few minutes. One wrong move, and it's over. But in the command post, a voice cuts through the static. Steady, unshaken, it's Sergeant Elias Kane. And he's about to make the call that changes everything. To understand how it came to this, we step back. Elias Kane wasn't born for war. He grew up in the flatlands of West Texas, outside Lubbock, Dust Bowl country. His dad worked oil rigs until the wells dried up. Mum waitressed double shifts at a diner off Route 84. Elias was the middle kid of 5. Quiet type. Fixed cars in the driveway with his uncle after school. Graduated high school in 1998 with no fanfare, no college dreams, just a steady job hauling freight for a local trucking firm. Life was predictable, until 9/11 hit the news. Elias watched the towers fall on a grainy TV at the truck stop, men jumping, smoke choking the sky. He was 22. That night, he drove home in silence. Next morning, he walked into the recruiter's office, signed up for the army, infantry, no hesitation, basic at Fort Benning. He thrived there. Not the loudest guy, but the one who kept his head when drills turned brutal. Instructors noticed. "Kane doesn't break," one said after a 20-mile ruck march in the rain. Elias just nodded, packed his gear, moved on. First deployment came in 2003, Iraq. Baghdad outskirts. His platoon rolled into ambushes daily. IEDs flipped Humvees like toys. Elias's first kill was a shadow in an alley, AK flashing. He didn't flinch, pulled his buddy out of the wreck instead. Shrapnel tore his vest, but he walked it off. Purple Heart, no parade, just back to patrol. By 2007, he was a sergeant, second tour in Iraq, Fallujah rebuild phase. Insurgents hit a convoy he led. 20 fighters, RPGs raining down. Elias flanked them through a bombed-out market, called in coordinates for an airstrike that saved the unit. 2 dead on his side, 15 enemy down. Brass pinned a bronze star on him in a quick ceremony at base. Elias shook hands, said thanks, then checked his rifle. Afghanistan followed in 2009. Pech Valley. The mountains chewed men up, narrow trails, hidden snipers. Elias's squad lost 3 to a single mortar round. He dragged the wounded under fire, applied tourniquets while rounds pinged off rocks. Medevac didn't arrive until dawn. All 3 made it. Word spread. Kane was the guy you wanted in the shit. Calm under fire, decisions that stuck. He wasn't fearless. Nights in the barracks, he'd stare at the ceiling, think about the faces he'd seen go still, the letters he'd helped write home. But come morning, he was up first. Coffee black, boots laced, ready, back to 2011. Elias had just turned 34, married now. Wife back in Texas, pregnant with their first. He wrote her every week short notes. Weather's cold. Missed the steak. Kept it light. His unit, 2nd Battalion, 87th Infantry, rotated into the Hindu Kush, Korangal Valley Extension. Mortar Valley, they called this spot, a fire base to disrupt Taliban supply lines. 8 men total on night shift, Elias in charge. The rest, 2 corporals fresh from stateside, a specialist on his 3rd tour, and 4 privates rotating in from logistics. Green mix. But Elias trusted them to follow. Mission was simple. Hold the high ground, monitor trails below. Intel said Taliban traffic was light. Wrong. February brought snow. March melted it into mud. Fighters poured down from Pakistan border. Ambushes tripled. Elias's patrols pushed back twice. Once, they held a ridge against 40 with claymores and small arms. Lost a radio man. Elias carried the body 2 miles to extraction. No time for grief. Just the wait. By mid-March, Brass pulled most troops back, left the outpost skeleton crew. "Hold for 48 hours, the order came. "Then relieve." Elias nodded over the sat phone, checked ammo counts, distributed grenades, told his men, "We dig in, eyes open." They reinforced walls with sandbags, set trip flares, mounted the 50 cal on the roof. That night, March 23rd, 0400 hours, moonless dark. Wind howled through passes. Elias was in the CP, sipping stale coffee, scanning the scope. First shots echoed from the east ridge. Muzzle flashes, then mortars. Incoming. The ground shook. One round hit the perimeter wire. Shrapnel sprayed. A private yelled from the tower, "Contacts north and south, hundreds!" Elias grabbed the radio. "All stations, this is Kane. Enemy assault. Multiple angles. Conserve ammo. Fall back to CP." He stepped out, air thick with cordite. Tracers arced overhead. His men fired disciplined bursts, but the numbers hit hard. Taliban waves advanced, shadows merging with rock. RPGs boomed. One wall crumbled. Corporal Ramirez took a round in the leg. Elias patched him quick. "Stay down. You're good." 04:10 hours. Radios linked to battalion. "Heavy contact. Estimate 200. Request immediate CAS. Close air support." But F-16s were grounded by weather. Apaches en route. ETA 25 minutes. Too long. Elias scanned the map. Only one play. The ravine to the west. Narrow choke point. If they funneled the enemy there. He keyed the mic. "Jenkins, take the 50. Cover the approach. Ruiz, frags on the flanks." Men moved. No questions. Bullets whined closer. A private froze behind a berm. Elias clapped his shoulder. "Breathe. Aim small." The kid nodded, squeezed off rounds. The assault built. Taliban shouts in Pashto. Grenades exploded short. Elias's mind raced. Ammo low, wounded piling. But he saw it. The terrain, his ground. They'd force the fight on his terms, or die trying. As the first wave crested the ridge, Elias raised his M4. Steady breath. "Hold." The night exploded. The night exploded into chaos. Bullets snapped past Elias's head like firecrackers. He squeezed the trigger. Short bursts. One Taliban fighter dropped, clutching his chest. The rest scattered behind boulders. Elias's men held the line. The 50 cal on the roof thundered. Jenkins swept the ridge, mowing down the lead group. Brass casings rained into the mud. 0412 hours. Elias ducked back into the CP. Smoke stung his eyes. Ramirez groaned on the floor, leg bound tight. "How bad?" Elias asked the medic, Specialist Hale. Hale wiped blood from his hands. "Bleeder stopped, but he's out." Elias nodded. One less shooter. He grabbed the radio again. "Battalion, this is Mortar Actual. Enemy closing fast. West Ravine is key. Need that ETA updated." Static crackled. "Negative on birds. Ground QRF 20 miles out. Hold what you got, Kane." "Hold, right, with 8 against 200. He stepped out. The air hummed with incoming fire. A mortar whistled overhead, impacted 50 yards short. Dirt fountained up. Private Ellis, the kid from logistics, fired wildly from the berm, missed everything. Elias knelt beside him. "Slow it. Pick your target." Ellis's hands shook. "They're everywhere, Sarge." Elias pointed. "That shadow by the rock. See it? Now." Ellis aimed, fired. A scream echoed back. "Good. Keep it there." Flashback to Iraq, 2003. Elias's first real scrape. Humvee convoy hit an IED on a dirt road outside Mosul. Vehicle flipped. His squad leader pinned under the turret, screaming. Gunfire from rooftops. Elias crawled through the wreck, ignored the rounds kicking up sand, dragged the man free, applied pressure to a gut wound while his team suppressed. That save earned him respect. "Kane's got ice in his veins," the platoon sergeant said later. Elias just cleaned his weapon, moved on. Back in the valley, 04:15 hours. The first wave pushed harder. Taliban fighters bounded forward using the terrain. They knew these mountains, born to them. Elias's outpost was a speck in their backyard. RPGs streaked in. One slammed the east wall. Bricks shattered. Private Torres went down, clutching his arm. Hale dragged him inside. Flesh wound, Hale yelled over the din. Elias covered them, fired until his mag ran dry, slapped in another. Low on rounds now, 700 total for the squad at start, half gone already. He scanned the dark. Moonless sky hid the stars. Wind carried the metallic tang of blood and gunpowder. Shouts in Pashto mixed with English curses. His men were solid. Corporal Hayes on the south flank, picking off climbers with his saw. Ruiz lobbing frags into the brush. But the numbers pressed. Elias estimated 50 in the open now. More shadows massing behind. Decision time. The ravine west, narrow, steep walls. If he could draw them in, claymores would do the work. But it meant pulling back, exposing the CP. "All stations," he radioed, "fall back to phase line Bravo, funnel 'em west." Men acknowledged, quick and clean. No panic. They drilled this. Elias covered the move. Hayes first, then Jenkins hauling the 50 ammo. Ellis last, stumbling but firing. As they repositioned, Elias thought of Fallujah, 2007. Convoy ambush, 20 insurgents. He'd led the flank through that market, heart pounding, sweat in his eyes, called the strike on a rooftop nest, watched the hellfire drop, 15 gone, his call, saved the convoy. But 2 of his own didn't make it. Faces he saw in quiet moments. That weight never left. It just sharpened focus. For 20 hours, the Taliban adjusted. They smelled weakness, pushed the East Ridge harder. Mortars walked closer. One hit the old latrine. No one there, but shrapnel peppered the wire. Elias's group hunkered in the ravine mouth, sandbags piled high, trip flares ready. He keyed the radio to battalion. "We're channeling them. Request illumination if you can." A flare gun popped from a distant hill. White light bloomed, shadows sharpened, fighters silhouetted. His men opened up. The 50 barked again. Bodies tumbled down slopes. But it cost them. A sniper's round cracked, hit Jenkins in the shoulder. He slumped over the gun. Ellis jumped up, took over. "I got it!" The kid's voice cracked, but he raked the ridge. Elias patched Jenkins quick. "Tourniquet, morphine." "Hang on." Jenkins grimaced. "Finish it, Sarge." Elias nodded. Stood. The light faded. Dark returned. Taliban regrouped. RPGs probed the ravine edges. Escalation hit. Waves turned to surges. Elias counted 80 now, maybe more. They flanked south, trying to envelop. Hayes yelled from his position. "They're around the bend." Elias sprinted, fired on the move, dropped 2, reached Hayes. "Frags out." They tossed grenades. Explosions rolled. Screams followed. But a counter-RPG answered. Blasted the sandbag wall. Hayes took frag to the thigh. Down. Elias pulled him back, applied pressure, blood hot on his hands. "Breathe steady." Hale crawled over. "I got him. Ammo check. Critical." M4 had 20 rounds left. Squad total under 200. Wounded 3. Fighters, 5 able-bodied, including him. The ravine plan worked, though. Bodies piled at the choke. Taliban hesitated, yelled orders, but they came again. 0425 hours, full assault, dozens charging, AKs chattering. Elias raised his rifle. "Fire at will!" The line erupted. In his mind, Pesh Valley, 2009, mortar round. Squad shredded, he dragged them out. Tourniquets in the dirt, rounds everywhere. That calm then. Same now, no room for doubt. The fight narrowed to this. His ground, his men. The Taliban hit the Claymore line. Elias detonated. Boom, chain of blasts. Limbs flew. Screams cut short. 20 down in seconds. The survivors faltered, pulled back. Breather short. Elias wiped sweat, checked the wounded. Ramirez stable. Jenkins fading but alive. Hayes cursing through pain. "Bastards won't quit." Elias clapped his good shoulder. "Neither will we." Radio crackled. Mortar actual, Apache inbound. ETA 10 mics, 10 minutes, eternity, but hope. Elias scanned the ridges. Taliban massing for another push. Larger, he saw the play. One last stand at the ravine heart. Draw them deep. Break them. The wind picked up. Cold bit through his gear. He thought of home, wife's letters. The baby coming. No time now. Positions, he ordered. Men moved, slow, hurting. But they did. Elias took point. M4 ready. The shadows advanced. Closer. The night tightened. The shadows advanced. Closer. The night tightened around the ravine like a noose. Elias crouched at the forward edge. M4 braced against a sandbag, his breath fogged in the chill. 5 men left standing, 3 wounded inside the CP, fighting pain and blood loss. Ammo scraped bottom, but the claymore hit bought time. Taliban voices rose in the dark, urgent. They regrouped, pushed again. 0427 hours. Elias keyed the radio low. Battalion mortar actual. Claymores triggered. Enemy taking hits but reforming. Apache still 10 out? The response cut through static. Affirm. Weather breaking. Hang tight, Kane. Hang tight. Elias almost laughed. He scanned the choke point. Bodies littered the approach. Twisted shapes in the mud. His men reloaded what they had. Ellis on the 50, sweat mixing with grime on his face. Ruiz passing frags, 1 per man. Hayes from the ground, propped up, firing one-handed with his pistol. A low whistle cut the air. Mortar incoming. Elias yelled, "Down!" The round slammed 20 yards out. Shrapnel hissed like angry snakes. Ruiz jerked back, hit in the vest. No penetration, but he coughed hard. "I'm good," he gasped. Elias nodded, pulled him lower. The Taliban probed next. Single shots from the flanks. Testing. Elias returned fire. Dropped a silhouette at 50 yards. Clean hit. Center mass. The man tumbled silent. Flash to 2009 Peck Valley. That mortar round on his squad. Chaos in the rocks. Elias under fire, dragging Private Lang first. Lang's leg mangled, bone white in the dirt. Rounds chipped stone inches away. Elias tied the tourniquet with one hand, fired with the other. Then Corporal Diaz, chest heaving, sucking air through a hole. Elias sealed it with a field dressing, ignored the burn in his own arm from a graze. Medevac finally came. All 3 lived because he didn't freeze. Squad called him unbreakable after. Elias just said, "Teamwork." But inside, he knew. Pressure forged the edge. Back here. Year 4, 30 hours. The Taliban surged. Dozens now, bounding down the slopes. AK fire stitched the air. Bullets thwacked into sandbags. Elias's line answered. The 50 roared, Ellis sweeping left to right. Muzzles flashed orange in the black. A fighter crested the ravine lip, grenade in hand. Ruiz nailed him first. The body pitched forward, explosive rolling harmless. Elias detonated the last claymore leg. Blast wave hit like a truck. Dirt and screams filled the night. 10 more down. But they kept coming, flanking north now, using the ravine's curve. Elias moved, low crawl to the bend, heart steady, pulse even. He spotted 3 shadows slipping along the wall. Raised his rifle, squeezed. 1 fell. The others fired blind. Rounds buzzed past his helmet. He rolled, came up firing. 2nd down. 3rd vanished into brush. "Contact north," he barked. Hayes shifted, laid down cover with his sidearm. Pop, pop. Effective enough. The flank stalled. Radio buzzed. Mortar actual. Apache 5 mics. Mark your positions. Elias grabbed a chemlight, cracked it green, stuck it on the CP roof. Green smoke, marking friendly, ravine west of outpost. He hoped the pilot saw it through the clouds. 5 minutes, felt like 50. His mag clicked empty, last one. He switched to his pistol. 9 rounds. Squad total under 50 now. Wounded worsening. Jenkins inside, pale, whispering for water. Hale split time between medic and shooter. The Taliban adapted. They split forces. Main push straight in. Smaller group circling south. RPG trail lit the sky. It arced wide, exploded against the far wall. Rocks tumbled. Private Ellis yelled from the gun, "Sarge! They're splitting us!" Elias sprinted back, saw it, 20 straight on, 10 peeling off. Ruiz, Hayes, south flank, frags and hold. They moved, slow but sure. Elias took the center with Ellis. Keep that, 50 hot. Firefight peaked, bullets everywhere. Elias fired his pistol deliberate. Each shot counted, hit a runner in the knee. The man crawled, firing wild. Elias finished it, close, too close. Pashto shouts mixed with the crack of gunfire. A grenade sailed in, bounced off a rock. Elias dove, kicked it back. Explosion lit the ravine. Heat washed over him. No shrapnel hit. Luck. Iraq, 2007, Fallujah market. That flank maneuver. Insurgents pinned the convoy. Elias led 4 through alleys. Heart hammering. 1 wrong turn, dead. He spotted the nest, machine gun on a roof. He called coordinates while suppressing. Airstrike inbound, waited under fire. The jet screamed over. Hellfire struck true. Roof gone. Fighters vaporized. But shrapnel caught his driver, PFC Mills. Elias held the man's hand as he faded. "Tell my girl," Mills gasped. Elias did later. In a letter, that call saved 12. Cost 1. Taught him. Decisions cut both ways. 0433 hours. South flank heated. Hayes radioed. "They're on us! 5, close!" Elias left Ellis, ran south. Bullets snapped branches. He slid in beside Hayes. 2 Taliban 10 yards out, climbing. Elias fired. Both dropped, but more behind. Ruiz lobbed his last frag. Boom. Cleared the immediate. Hayes slumped. "Legs numb, Sarge." Blood soaked the ground. Elias tied it tighter. "Fight through." Hayes nodded, gripped his pistol. The main wave hit then. 30 strong, charging the mouth, yelling, firing from the hip. Ellis's 50 jammed. Overheat. He cleared it frantic. Too late for some. Fighters poured in 20 yards out. Elias stood, pistol empty. Switched to knife. No. Grabbed Ruiz's spare mag, slapped it in an M4 from the pile, fired full auto, conserved nothing. Bodies stacked. 5 down, 10. Apache rotors thumped distant, growing. Elias glanced up. Clouds parted slight. "Birds incoming!" he shouted. Men cheered low, pushed harder. Taliban faltered. Saw the shift? Heard the choppers? They pressed anyway. Desperate. A fighter leaped the last berm. Bayonet fixed. Elias met him, rifle butt to the face. Crack, down, another came. Elias sidestepped, shot point blank. 0435 hours. Apaches crested the ridge. Hellfire missiles streaked. Explosions ripped the slopes. Taliban scattered. Secondary blasts from ammo caches. The night lit hellish. Elias's men held, fired into the rout. The 50 sang again. Bodies fell like wheat. The assault broke. Survivors fled into rocks. Shouts turned to panic. Elias dropped to one knee, chest heaving. Smoke cleared slow. His hands shook now. Adrenaline crash. But he stood, checked the line. Ruiz hit bad, shoulder through. Ellis grinning through tears. "We got 'em, Sarge." Hayes alive. Inside, Ramirez and Jenkins breathing. Hale bandaging. 5 minutes ago. Annihilation. Now breathing room. Radio confirmed. Mortar actual. Apaches on station. QRF en route. Status. Elias wiped blood. His own. From his cheek. Holding. Wounded but intact. Enemy broken. Calm voice like always. The choppers circled, guns hot. Taliban remnants melted away. Dawn edged the peaks. Grey light. The fight turned. On his call, his ground, but the cost tallied quick. 2 dead? No. Wait. All alive. Wounded heavy. 5 fighters down to 3 walking. Outpost walls cratered. Ammo gone, yet they held. Elias thought of Texas. The baby. This story, his to carry. War's math, numbers versus will. Tonight Will won, barely. The wind died. Silence fell. Heavy, final. Dawn crept over the Hindu Kush peaks, painting the ridges in pale grey. Elias Kane stood at the ravine mouth, M4 slung loose across his chest. His uniform hung heavy with sweat and mud, blood speckling the sleeves, not all his. The Apaches hovered low, rotors chopping the thinning mist. Their chain guns stayed silent now, but the pilots circled tight, eyes on the slopes. No more Taliban in sight, just echoes of the fight, spent casings glinting in the dirt, craters smoking faint, bodies twisted where they fell. 438 hours. Elias wiped his face with a grimy sleeve. His men slumped against the sandbags. Ellis still manned the 50, barrel cooling, but his eyes darted to every shadow. Ruiz sat with his back to a rock, shoulder wrapped crude by hail. Blood seeped through. Hayes lay nearby, leg elevated on a pack, face ashen but jaw set. Inside the CP, Ramirez and Jenkins breathed shallow. Hale moved between them, hands steady despite the exhaustion. No fatalities, yet. Elias scanned the perimeter. 20 Taliban down in the ravine, alone. More on the ridges from the Apaches. The rest scattered into the passes. For now, radio crackled. Mortar actual, this is Viper 6. Ground element inbound. Black Hawk's 5 mics out for medevac. Elias keyed the mic. Copy, Viper. LZ clear. Wounded priority. He turned to Ellis. Stand down on the gun. Help Hale with the litters. The kid nodded, climbed off slow, legs like lead. Elias felt it too, knees aching from the hours crouched, muscles burning, but he pushed it down. Focus on the men. He walked the line. Checked ammo crates. Empty. Grenades. Gone. The outpost looked like a bomb site. Walls pocked with RPG scars, wire tangled in shreds. A mortar tube lay bent in the yard. Elias picked up a fallen entrenching tool, stuck it in the ground like a marker. His marker. The ravine plan worked, funneling them into the kill zone. Claymores did half the job, his squad the rest. 8 men, 200 enemies. Odds that should have buried them. First, Black Hawk thumped in at 0443. Dust swirled as it touched down short of the CP. Door gunner scanned the rocks, M240 ready, ropes dropped, QRF fast roped, 12 rangers from battalion, geared heavy. They fanned out, securing the perimeter. Lead man, a staff sergeant with a scarred jaw, jogged to Elias. Kane, heard you held the fort. Elias nodded, shook his hand. We managed. The sergeant eyed the bodies. Managed. Looks like you broke 'em. No smile, just respect in the nod. Medics piled out next. Black Hawk 2 landed beside. They swarmed the wounded. Jenkins first, pale, shock setting in. IV lines, morphine, loaded onto a litter. Ramirez next, legs stabilized but infection risk high. Hayes cursed as they lifted him, but went quiet under the stretcher. Hale briefed them quick. Bleeds controlled, vitals holding. Ruiz waved off help at first. I can walk. Medic shook his head. Not with that hole. Sit. Elias watched them load up. Birds lifted off, noses dipping east toward Bagram. Gone in seconds. The valley fell quiet again, save the QRF chatter. Elias's 5 standing gathered near the CP. Ellis rubbed his neck. Thought we were done, Sarge. Ruiz leaned on a wall. Yeah, that last wave. Hayes was airlifted, but his words hung. Bastards won't quit. Elias clapped Ellis's shoulder. You manned that 50 like a vet. Saved us twice. The kid flushed under the dirt. Just following you. No hero talk, just facts. QRF swept the ravine, pulled tags from enemy dead. AKs, RPGs stacked for intel. One ranger whistled at the Claymore pileup. Smart play. Drew 'em right in. Elias shrugged. Terrain's what it is. But inside, the math replayed. 25-1, minutes from overrun. His call on the ravine. Risky. Exposed the back. But it broke the momentum. Apaches sealed it. Timing, all timing. By 500 sun edged higher, light hit the peaks, turning snow patches gold. Elias sipped water from a canteen, first in hours, throat raw. QRF sergeant radioed battalion. Site secure, no contacts, Kane's team intact. Brass responded fast. Copy, debrief at Phobie, awards pending. Elias heard it, ignored the awards part. He thought of Iraq. That Bronze Star ceremony, quick handshake. No speeches, just duty. Flash to 2003 Mosul. After the IED flip, Elias dragging his squad leader free, gunfire pinning them. He'd suppressed alone while the man bled out slow. Medevac came. Leader lived. Lost a leg but lived. Platoon toast later. Kane's the rock. Elias drank his warm beer, said nothing, knew it wasn't him alone. But in quiet. He carried the what-ifs, the ones that didn't make it. Here, no what-ifs yet, all breathing, but the cost lingered. Jenkins might lose the arm, Hayes's leg, maybe pins, Ruiz's shoulder, rehab months. Elias's own cuts, graze on the forearm, nothing major. But the weight, 200 faces in the dark, some kids probably, fighters born to grudge. He didn't hate them, just the fight. The pull on his men. QRF chopper inbound for the rest. Elias's team loaded last. He took one look back, outpost gutted, but held his ground. Black Hawk lifted, valley shrinking below, rotors beat steady, men inside silent, staring out. Ellis broke it. Sarge, you think they'll rotate us out? Elias met his eyes. If they know what's good. Low chuckle rippled. First break in hours. At Fob Joyce, 0700, dust-off complete, doctors swarmed, x-rays, stitches. Elias sat on a cot, arm bandaged. Colonel from battalion walked in. Older guy, West Point Polish. Sergeant Kane, walk me through it. Elias did, straight, no embellish. Ravine call. Claymores, Apaches. Colonel nodded slow. Numbers like that. You turned it. Elias shrugged. Team did. Colonel gripped his shoulder. Silver Star recommendation, deserved. Elias nodded, thanks. Inside, just relief, home closer now. Word spread fast. Brass reviewed tapes. Helmet cams caught bursts of it. Drone footage showed the funnel. Taliban losses, 80 confirmed. Their assault shattered, no outpost lost. Elias's name hit reports. Kane's stand. But he wrote his wife that night. Rough night, all good now. Baby kicking yet? Kept it light. By afternoon, unit reassembled, wounded stable in hospital tent. Elias checked on them. Jenkins grinned weak. Oh, you, Sarge. Elias shook his head. We owe each other. Walked out, sun high, mountains loomed. War's rhythm, fight, mend, repeat, but this one stuck, 8 against odds. Will bent the math, the valley waited. Taliban would probe again. But for now, quiet held. Elias laced his boots, ready for next. Always. Weeks passed in the Hindu Kush, but the echo of that night lingered like smoke in the valleys. Elias Kane rotated back to Fob Joyce full-time. No more skeleton crews at Mortar Valley. Brass reinforced the outposts, doubled patrols, and pushed drones over the passes. The Taliban probed less after that. Their supply lines tangled. Word from intel, the assault was meant to overrun 3 sites at once. Mortar Valley held. The others fell back intact. Elias's stand bought the breathing room. He checked on his men daily. Jenkins in the field hospital, arm wired from shoulder to wrist. Infection fought off, but rehab loomed long. Docs say I'll shoot again, he told Elias one afternoon. Voice steady over the hum of generators. Elias nodded, pulled up a stool. You'll outshoot me. Jenkins chuckled faint. No pity, just forward. Ramirez walked with a crutch by mid-April. Leg scarred, but he drilled with the platoon again. Hayes got pins in his thigh, metal holding bone, back on light duty, cursing the PT but pushing through. Ruiz's shoulder mended slow. Sling off after stitches pulled. Ellis, the logistics kid turned gunner, requested infantry transfer. That night changed it, he said to Elias over MREs. Want the line now? Elias clapped his back. Earn it. Elias himself carried a graze on the arm, stitched clean. No big deal. But sleep came fitful. Dreams of shadows in the ravine, rotors thumping late. He'd wake, check the bunk, then gear up for dawn run. Wife's letters piled up, baby due in July. "Tell me about the hills," she wrote. He replied, "Tall, steep, like West Texas but colder." Skip the rest. Some weight stayed his. Debriefs dragged into May. Colonel pulled Elias into briefings, maps spread wide. "Walk us through the funnel," the intel officer said. Elias pointed. "Ravine here, claymores there. Apaches timed just. No drama in his voice, just lines on paper. They reviewed footage. Helmet cam shakes, bursts of fire, Elias's commands cutting through, drone sweeps, Taliban waves breaking on the choke." Brass nodded. "Textbook under fire," Elias shrugged. "Luck and ground." Awards came quiet. Silver Star for Elias. Ceremony in the Chow Hall. June heat baking the tent. Colonel pinned it on his dress uniform. Borrowed, starched stiff. Men from the squad there. Hayes on crutches. Jenkins wheeled in. Handshakes. Photos. Elias said thanks. Kept eyes level. Bronze stars for Hayes and Ellis. Arcoms for the rest. No speeches from him. Duty spoke. Word hit home front too. Local paper in Lubbock ran a piece. "Texas Sergeant turns tide in Afghan hell." Wife showed it to family. Elias got the clipping in mail, read it once, filed it away, didn't need the ink. His measure was the men walking again. By summer, rotation loomed. Unit prepped for stateside. Elias led one last patrol up the valley. Sun baked the trails. No contacts, just wind through rocks. He paused at the ravine overlook. Outpost rebuilt now, fresh wire gleaming. Bodies long cleared, earth scarred but healing. He thought of the math. 8 lives, 200 threats. Numbers said loss. But Will shifted it. His call, their fire, Apache's guns, chain of choices in the dark. Back at FOB, packing gear. Elias sat on his rack, folding letters. One from Mom. "Proud. Come home safe." He smiled faint. War revealed its core here. Not heroes in capes. Just men holding line, decisions under weight, courage not loud, steady, the kind that bent odds without breaking. He'd faced chaos before, Iraq alleys, Peck mortars, each time pressure stripped to basics. Act, protect, survive. The baby arrived early, July 12th, girl, named her after his mum. Elias got the call on sat phone, voice breaking first time in years. "She's perfect," wife said. He nodded to the empty CP. "Tell her daddy's coming." Rotation flew out August. Black Hawk liftoff, valley fading below. Mountains rolled endless. Elias watched silent. Fight turned on that night. But war ground on. Choices echoed. Will met math. Sometimes it held. Years later, Elias left the army. 2016, back to Texas. Flatlands welcomed him. He fixed trucks again, steady hands on wrenches. Taught his daughter to shoot a .22 at 8. "Aim small," he said. She nodded like Ellis once did. No stories of the valley. Just lessons in quiet. Men like him didn't boast. They carried. The stand at Mortar Valley became footnote in reports. But for those who knew, it said enough. In war's crush, one calm voice could turn the tide, not always win, but hold, long enough for dawn.